Hey everybody, Quantum here, and in this video we're going to be doing a meta report breakdown of the latest online 10k tournament by Thea Bestie and the people at the pack. It was 286 players happening over the weekend of June 1st and 2nd. Unfortunately, this is going to be the final tournament that they host because as you guys probably know, Pixelborn is no longer supporting Lorcana as of June 16th. Powell, the creator, has come out and said that he's received a request to stop from Disney, so that's unfortunate. But hopefully we'll see how things develop. Taking a look here, though, there is top 16 posted. No Amber Steel, no other kind of Amber deck like Amber Ruby, no Emerald Amethyst either, which is very interesting. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4 Emerald Steel discards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Ruby Sapphire. So 7 Ruby Sapphire, 4 Emerald Steel. I thought that these were going to be the top 2 decks in the format. Me thinking that Emerald Steel is the best one. Ruby Amethyst taking second place, which is a surprise. Definitely would not have expected that. But you got 1, 2, 3 Ruby Amethysts, and then 1, 2 Sapphire Steel to round out the top 16. So we're gonna break this down. Really surprised not to see any Amber, but you know that's understandable. And I'm not surprised not to see Emerald Amethyst. I think that deck really suffers with Ruby now. With the new Sisu, with the Brawl, every Ruby player should be on 4 Brawl. It's like the best card I think you got from the set. But also like the new Shift Sisu, sorry, and just Steel being Steel, like Emerald Steel just being like one of the better decks in the format, and it should eat Emerald Amethyst for lunch, right? So let's go ahead and jump straight in. Okay, Jordan Bashi, congratulations on the win there. Okay, taking a look here, we got 12 1-drops, 4 Diablo, 4 Pegasus, 4 Robin Hood. That's pretty standard. In my build, I ran 3 Diablo, but 4 just for the consistency is great. Making sure you always have a turn 1 play. 8 2-drops and 4 Bucky, 4 Ursula. So this is pretty much the accepted standard now. You don't really want smees or anything like that. You're just getting straight to the point. Get my efficiency cards down, rip a card out of their hand, or get my discard engine online. Because these additions of Aladdin Brave Rescuer and Diablo Devoted Herald are absolutely insane. 3-cost Floodborn characters, instantly triggering the Bucky the following turn. When in the previous sets you'd have to wait until turn 4 to drop your Jafar. It just provides you so much extra benefit now, and the fact that Diablo in and of itself is like an insanely powerful card. Yeah, just the fact that it comes with the Bucky, it's no wonder it's considered one of the strongest decks of the format. So 7 3-drop Floodborn characters, and interesting to see no Ursula Deceiver of All. This person, it looks like their list is all Floodborns from 3 to 6, despite them playing the songs here. So that's an interesting take. Very, all in on I'm just Floodborning and Bucky discarding your whole hand. So probably one of the reasons why they were able to do so well, because you're just getting straight to the point, no mucking around. You're just against those Ruby Sapphire decks, you're just aggressively discarding their hand probably. So you probably very much so aggressively mulligan for Bucky, because if you don't see Bucky, right, your deck kind of suffers a little bit. But yeah, interesting to see. I mean, with the Diablo and the Beast Tragic Hero drawing you cards, like you're going to see what you need to see eventually. And then on the 4-drop, you got 3 Jafars. Still a solid card. A 3/4 body is still relevant, and the fact that it draws you a card when it banishes a character can help you deal with early game threats and just get some advantage off of it, which is always nice. 4 Beast Tragic Hero, 4 Pegasus Cloud Racer. We know all of these are pretty standard, along with the Robin Hoods. And then interesting to see the addition of Tinkerbell Giant Fairy here. Just some additional top end, just a decent card overall, helps you deal with the mirror match and stuff like that. So not a bad inclusion. And again, being a Floodborn just helps facilitate the discard engine as well. A tech card that I know people were on, but interesting to see that it was in the winning list, is Hidden Cove. This is a new location that costs 1. It is inkable, and it only costs 1 to move your characters here. The reason you play this is because if you're able to move things like your Beast and your Robin Hood, among other things, but mainly like these are the 2 big ones. If you can move it to this location, it helps you play around things like getting Medusa'd in like Ruby Amethyst matchups. Like it turns off their Medusa completely against those top end characters that you play. And if you go up against the Ruby Sapphire matches, they need ice blocks to counter this, right? So it just puts them a little bit further behind. Like what's really sucks with this deck is like if you have like a Robin Hood on field and they like ice block it down and then they brawl it away, and you're just like, great, or they double ice block it and then Sisu Daring Visitor it, like that feels really bad. So this card just offsets that a little bit. mainly to play around, like I said, the Ruby, mainly like Brawl and Madame Medusa, since I don't think Sisu Daring Visitor will likely be played all too much because it is a little bit of a risk to play sometimes. But then the song package looks fairly standard: 4 and 4 of Let the Storm Rage On and Strength of a Raging Fire, 2 Grab Your Swords, and 3 We Don't Talk About Bruno. I play the same ratio of songs in mine. I might opt to change these for Zeus's though, but good to see that the Grab Your Swords is still doing work. Good into the mirror match, right? So another reason why you want to play it. The Hidden Cove in place of something like Baboom is also interesting, right? Because Baboom is also something that you would maybe tech in for the mirror match. But obviously this player was a little bit more concerned about Ruby, and it boded very well for them considering 7 Ruby Sapphire and 3 Ruby Amethyst. So 10 out of the 16 decks were Ruby. Just shows you how good Ruby is, right? I think we called this in our set reviews prior to the set coming out, where we said Emerald and Ruby were the clear winners out of this Ursula's Return set. Anyways, moving on to Ruby Amethyst. Really excited to see this deck coming into second place. Okay, 8 1-drops. Okay, just 2 and 2 of Mini and Olaf there. 4 Trinabog. 4 Flynn Rider Frenemy. I've talked about this card at length in my Ruby Sapphire video. I do think that this is the new 2-drop for Ruby. I shouldn't say it's the new 2-drop. It depends on how the meta develops, because with Diablo in the meta also being a 2/2 body, you might see an increase in steel decks, which again it's hard to say, because then you just get, I don't want to say stomped out, but you get pretty beat up by Ruby Sapphire potentially. So it's kind of like a cycle, but this card is very good, especially because you have Sisu Emboldened Warrior, and in Ruby Amethyst particular, on turn 3 you can drop a Fox and bounce back one of your 1-drops with this Flynn Rider Frenemy on field. And if your opponent can't deal with this right away, it's probably going to get you 3 to 6 to even 9 lore before they're able to out it or put a character on board that is able to equal the strength, or it will force your opponent to make very awkward plays. So for example, instead of like a ramp deck ramping for the first 3 or 4 turns, they might say I have to focus on developing a character instead, because I have to basically stop this Flynn Rider from getting 6 lore, right? So they slow down their ramp potentially, throws off their game plan a little bit, just little things like that. Steel decks might opt to ping this off with a hard, I think that actually happened to me. Somebody tried to hard cast Let the Storm Rage On my Flynn Rider instead of playing a character, right? And then next turn I was just able to further develop. This card is a good bait. It's good if it stays on field. It's just a decent card overall. So obviously it replaced the Cusco in this person's list, but yeah, a decent card. It's, in my opinion, it should be worth more than $2, but we'll see. The Mana Min package stays the same: 2 Crab, 4 Sisu. This card is also really good. I think this is really undervalued, even though I should have my 4 Ursula's Return boxes in my sealed case coming, despite the store kind of messing up and sending me 4 Inklands boxes for some reason. Hopefully I get that sorted, but despite 4 boxes still coming to me, I just went ahead and bought 4 of these because they're at $1 each in Canadian, and I think that's undervalued. I think this card will be at least in most Ruby decks, a staple over time. Maybe when set 5 comes out, that'll change. But a 3-cost inkable 1/4 that usually comes down on turn 3 as a 5/4 or 4/4, and even in the mid to late game might be a 2/4 or 3/4, or even higher than that if your opponent has a lot of cards. And at quest for 2, it's just good value overall. So you can see the 3-drop slot becoming even more competitive here. The opponent is also on 2 Dolores, 4 Goat, 4 Rabbit, 4 Maui, and then 3 Medusa, capping off at the 6. Their only uninkable characters being the Rabbit and the Medusa, for a total of 7 uninkable characters. 4 Brawl, like I said, if you're playing Ruby, you're probably on this. Probably the best card we got out of the whole set in Ruby. For Ruby, that is not the best card out of the set. I think that's Diablo, but for Ruby, I think this is the best card. 4 Friends, and then this is an interesting tech option. I haven't really tested this myself, but 3 King Undisputed, uninkable Song. I can see the benefits, right? Drop Rabbit, drop Goat, drop the Dolores even, sing this the next turn, and then you still have your ink to play a card, and you've outed an opponent's threat potentially. Very good, right? It's just Tremaine 2 turns earlier without the body. You're able to sing it, so you're able to save your tempo, and develops another threat if you need to. Downside is that it's uninkable, and it's a song that gets ripped out of your hand from Ursula Deceiver, right? So in the finals, when this player went up against the Emerald Steel player, I imagine that these songs probably held him back a little bit against the Emerald Steel player. To be prepared, that's understandable. I don't think you necessarily need to rely on this card as much as you used to, with the game speeding up a little bit. Still a nice card to have in your back pocket if you can, especially against a non-Emerald decks when Ruby Sapphire or Sapphire Steel starts to go pretty big on their board. Having this card ready to drop is really strong. And then the card that I think will be a huge part of any Amethyst deck moving forward, at least for the set 4, is the Queen's Castle. This card is by far the best location in my opinion, and it is a card that Ruby Amethyst absolutely needs to play because it's one of your counterplay options against Ruby Sapphire from my own personal experience. So out of all the Ruby Amethyst lists, I expect this to be at 4 of in every deck. Same with the Brawl, right? Like I've already mentioned. And even in the Ruby Sapphire decks, I expect the Brawl to be at 4. It's just such a good card, especially in Ruby Sapphire because of ice blocks. Next up, we got a Lazaro Bilodeau. This is an OG Yu-Gi-Oh player. If you Google their name, you'll probably see Shonen Jump Championships from 15 years ago with this player. I think they won a couple even. So a top player from a previous game, the game that I come from in Yu-Gi-Oh. Good to see that they're still around and doing well in other TCGs. Another Canadian out of Toronto, similar to Matt Petal. That kind of group of players in that Toronto area is very well known for developing some very top talent in TCGs. But yeah, Ruby Sapphire losing out to one of the either Emerald Steel or Ruby Amethyst player. 3 Develop Your Brain, 4 Brawl as expected, 3 Ice Block. Okay, yep. I mean, I like 4, but you know, 3 in the standard list is understandable considering they play like 20 to 24 on Inkables. In my adapted Ruby Sapphire list, I'm on 4 Ice Blocks because I'm down to like 13, 14 on Inkables. But my list isn't meta. This list is the meta list, obviously. 4 Popsicle, 4 Fishbone Quill, 2 Lucky Dimes. Okay, 4 1 Jumps. 3 How Far I'll Go, and 2 Be Prepared. It's interesting. The How Far I'll Go is definitely an interesting option. You know, this card does a lot for you, but I do think in an aggro-oriented meta, if we end up developing that way, this card just slows you down a little bit. You know, having multiples of this in your hand doesn't feel great. Yes, it's nice that you can sing it, but it's also a card that gets ripped out of your hand from Ursula Deceiver, giving them free value off of that too. It's a good card, don't get me wrong, but it's just it feels a little awkward being a 4 cost on Inkable, right? But again, with the Fishbone Quills, you can ink them, so it's not necessarily the worst. 1 Judy Hopps, 2 Sisu Emboldened Warrior, so no Sisu Daring Visitor, interesting. 4 Grammatala, 4 Hiram, so it's still valuing the scrying cards, which you absolutely need to for digging into your Hiram, same with the How Far I'll Go. 4 Maui, 2 Moana Born Leader, what? Shift 3, 4/4 body, 5 cost inkable. Quest for 2. Welcome to my boat. Whenever this character quests while at a location, ready all other characters here. They can't quest for the rest of this turn. Why would you play this? You don't play locations. Isn't the new Noi better? Isn't that just a 4 cost inkable 4/4 that quest for 2 that has the ability of when you play an action, you don't take any damage in a challenge? Isn't that just straight up better than this? Interesting. And then you know I know this is a shift 3, but they don't play any other Moanas, so that's interesting that they included this and made it this far with that. That's crazy. Am I missing something here? I must be missing something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure I'm missing something, but I'll just move on. 1 Lady Tremaine, 3 Madame Medusa, the boss, 2 Sisu Empowered Sibling. Okay, I've tested with 2. I prefer 3, but I tested it without Be Prepared, so 2 and 2 is probably a better ratio here. 4 Tamato and 4 Maleficent, this is standard. If you're playing the meta, like the current defined meta list of Ruby Sapphire, you want to max out on these top ends. Yeah, so this is good. I agree with that. Let's take a look at the other top 4. Only 1 ice block, and you're playing the Sisu, and you're only playing 1 of it. Okay, you're on the Bell. The other list wasn't on Bell. 12 items. Vitalosphere as a 1 of. Interesting. I don't know. That's weird. Okay, 4 Brawl as expected. They're on the Scuttles with only 12 items, so, you know, 2 Scuttle, 2... Okay, they're on the Frenemy, the Flynn Rider. And are they on... Where's the other Sisu? Nope, they're not on the other Sisu. Man, these lists are puzzling to me. You drop... I mean, this is what your late... like something to drop in the late game then, when you start developing Maui's, Madame Medusas, Sisus, Tamatoas, and Maleficent Dragons. So as expected, 4 and 4 still. Your songs down here, 3 Be Prepared instead of the 2 Sisu, okay? So you got 3, 5 Board Wipes, Maleficent Dragon, and Madame Medusa for additional removal, Maui for removal. 2 of the How Far I'll Go. I like that rate. I like 2 more than 3, but it's kind of hit or miss. Only 3 1 jumps. I don't know, if you play 1 jump, don't you want to play 4? Because you want to maximize seeing it on turn 2? I don't know, I guess because you have these turn 2s, like you're not too worried if you don't see this. And you know, this can be sung by these, I guess. Yeah, this list is very... I mean, whenever I look at these Ruby Sapphire lists, it's probably just my own interpretation of them. Like, they always seem like, you know, not inconsistent, but they have like a lot of these 1-ups and stuff, and I'm just like, you know, or like weird ratios, and I'm just like, wow, I'm amazed that it worked. But obviously, you know, props to them, amazing players if they made it this far in a pool of almost 300 players. Sapphire Steel is one of the other decks that were represented here. Fire the Cannons, love it, love to see it. I think this card comes back in a certain capacity, especially in the Sapphire Steel, since it can be inked with Fishbone Quill if you see it late. But it's a great one trade out option against Diablo. Like Diabloing or cannonsing a Diablo is like an insane advantage for you. Like it's I don't want to say it's a game winning play, but it's very strong. Like they play 3 to play that Diablo, or you know they shift it and discard an action and use up their 1-drop. You know, so they cost them a total of 3 cards to put the Diablo on the field, including the Diablo itself, and then you just like fire the cannons. It feels really good. A lot of advantage you gain off of that. So yeah, cool to see the 2 Fire the Cannons, 1 Baboom. Baboom, same thing, but it costs 2 and it's inkable. But I think the Fire the Cannons just is a little bit better because of the one cost. 4 Fortisphere, 4 Popsicle, 3 Fishbone Quills. Oh, we love to see it. The tech, the Great Stone Dragon in Sapphire Steel, not in Ruby Sapphire. So again, I don't expect my Ruby Sapphire list to be meta. Maybe somebody will try it and top with it. I don't know, but my list just came out. So I think obviously the current list that we just reviewed for Ruby Sapphire without this card in it is currently the defined meta. But I don't know. I think this card in control matches and mid-range matches is something that can really win you the game. So cool to see it as a 2 of in this deck. Lucky Dime as a 2 of as well still. Okay, and then you got Mr. Smee, Gravitala, Hiram, 3 Beast Hard-Headed. Interesting. 4 Beast Tragic Hero. Like this is interesting. I mean, I understand you want the body. Are you putting this in for the Ruby Sapphire matchup? Does it do enough? Does it do enough? I mean, the 2 questing 4/4 body is really relevant, but if you're really teching against something for the mirror, or not the mirror, just like the other Sapphire mirror, I guess you could say, the Ruby Sapphire, would the Flatten You action song be better? Because you just hard wipe everything, despite it not being a character, but it just seems to have higher impact. Like that's one of the benefits of playing Steel now, is that you have that item wipe. But you know, Beast Hard-Headed still a good choice. I'm not disagreeing. Obviously, like I said, these players know more than I do. They are the ones performing. 3 Beast Tragic Hero, 4 Cogsworth, Grandfather Clock, 4 Tinkerbell Giant Fairy, and 2 Hades making a return. Interesting. 4 Tamatoa. I've mentioned this in my Sapphire Steel list as well. And same with the Grab Your Swords, upping on the ratios of that. 3 or 4 I think is good to combat the Emerald decks, and then you can always ink it if you're going up against like Ruby Sapphire. The Hades is interesting to see, but I think it's a huge impact card for sure. It does get Medusa, yes, but you know it's a big body too at 6 toughness, and quest for 2. So the Tamatoa, I think a 4 of in any Sapphire deck now moving forward. Like it's such an important piece to Sapphire items. Interesting to see the 1 jumps in this list. Like that's a lot of ramp, right? But I mean, I guess you really do value getting that extra edge. 2 Along Came Zeus, 3 Grab Your Swords, and even 3 McDuck Manors. So very interesting. 31 characters, but interesting list there. Moving on, we're not going to take a look at every single list, guys. We're going to wrap it up soon. I just want to check out a few more of these, see if there's any interesting tech. 2 Scuttle, 4 Sisu Empowered Sibling. Wow. No Be Prepareds. Wow, 4 of these, eh? Are you playing? Yeah, 4 Ice Block, so ice blocking down, dropping the Sisu. No, I mean, how many uninkables? 8, 16, 22? Damn, that's a lot of uninkables. So I guess you don't want to play Daring Visitor, even though it's a good shift target. But with the 4 ice block, Daring Visitor just gets better and better. I can't believe there's almost nobody playing the low drop Sisus. That's crazy. June, let's see your Ruby Sapphire. Also no small Sisus. Neither one. Oh, sorry. Yes, there's Emboldened Warrior, but none of the Daring Visitor. I really do think this card is undervalued, guys. I really do. Anyways, 4 Develop Your Brain, 4 Brawl as expected. 3 Ice Block, okay. 4 Popsicle, 4 Fishbone, 4 1 Jump, 4 How Far I'll Go, 3 Be Prepared. Wow. These songs, man, I hate that they're all uninkable. 2 Tremaine, 2 Medusa on the split. Again, 4 Tamatoa, 4 Maleficent as expected. Let's see some of these other Emerald Steel discards. Morph, Space Goo. Wow. 4 Aladdin. They're on the Deceiver of All, okay. 4 of the Flynn Rider, his own biggest fan. What a crazy list. 2 Jafar, 4 Beast. I mean, I guess you can afford to play a 2 Under the Sea. This is nuts. What a cool list. Spicy. Oh, isn't there a spicy raider on here? Oh yeah, he got the spice, right? This is the guy we just checked out? Yeah, he's got the spice. Is he the spiciest deck? No. Hook Shift? What, are they playing Captain Hooks in this Sapphire Steel? No, why is it called Hook Shift? Oh, Chenpo. Okay, interesting. 1 Beast Hard-Headed. 1 Avalanche. 4 Let It Goes. 4 Hades. Wow. Cool to see, right? These meta developments. Let's see the 16th place Ruby Sapphire. Oh, so they are on the Daring Visitor and the Emboldened Warrior, and 3 of the Shift. Will only 1 be prepared? Interesting. Only 3 Brawl? Wow. 4 Tamatoa, 4... yeah, everybody's on this, eh? Like, that's just the standard. 4 Be Prepared, 3 Sisu Empowered Siblings, so very focused on board wiping. 2 Vitalosphere, interesting. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, this looks exactly like the list that I played, that I made my deck profile on weeks ago. I would change it since then, though, but props to this player for coming in and topping. I would cut back on the Sudden Chills. Yeah, I would cut back on the Sudden Chills. And I've thought about replacing the Grab Your Swords, as I mentioned, with the Zeus. I would only run 3 Bruno, so maybe it's not exactly like my list. Maybe, yeah, the Tinkerbell edition is definitely, I think, a warranted addition there. But yeah, 3 Diablo, the 1 drop, 3 Aladdin, still playing Deceiver of All. Because, you know, Deceiver of All, Sudden Chill is still nice, but, like, drawing this in the late game when your opponent is already on, like, top deck mode kind of is very underwhelming when they have a board that you need to deal with, and you're like, well, this action doesn't do anything. Let's take a look at one more of these Ruby Amethyst lists, and then we'll wrap it up here. Oh, yes, good. I'm happy to see this because I wanted to talk about this card. This new Pegasus on Ruby, 2-drop Inkable, 3-1 Evasive, is actually relevant for Ruby Amethyst. This is another 2-drop option alongside Flynn Rider Frenemy that you could consider, because this is a card that directly helps you deal with Diablo as well. I mean, the 1 toughness sucks because you do get, like, you know, not that the Emerald Steel plays it, but like Fire the Cannons, Baboomed, Let the Storm Rage On is the one you have to worry about. But the fact that this can trade out a Diablo is very nice because it has evasive, and it quests for 1 still. So even if you're not in that particular situation, it's questing for 1. And as we've seen, the valuing of the strength over the toughness is starting to matter now with all the Ruby in the format. Like there's 10 Ruby decks, right? 3 Ruby Amethyst, 7 Ruby Sapphire. Because everybody kind of realizes how insane this strength-based removal is in the game now. Will we see that persist? Wow, on the Sorcerer's Spellbook too, 2 Be Prepared, and yeah, 4 Queen's Castle as expected. I think isn't there one more Ruby? Which one did we look at? I don't remember. Pegasus. This is the one we looked at, yeah, with the Spellbook. So let's look at this one. I would anticipate 4 Queen's Castle here as well. Yeah, 3 Be Prepared, 4 Brawls. Yep. These lists, again, all pretty standard. Everybody knows what they're doing if you're topping. So interesting to see the meta shaping up this way, guys. Let me know if you made it this far in the video what you think. And yeah, like I said, bittersweet that it's the final online Pixelborn tournament, but that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this profile and meta report. So let me know what you think if you made it this far. Thank you again for watching. Quantum is out.